There is no such thing as lack in the kingdom of God. Lack is but a shadow of fear, an illusion of the human mind. The truth is, every soul is heir to an infinite supply. What belongs to you cannot be withheld, and what is yours by divine right appears in perfect time and in perfect ways. You may look at your account today and see 100. The world may whisper defeat, but the Spirit declares victory. The appearance of lack is but a test of faith, for every seeming minus is an invitation for a greater plus. The minus sign is the opening for multiplication. The negative is simply the soil from which divine abundance blossoms. I speak the word of truth. God is my immediate and endless supply. Money seeks me, finds me, and stays with me by divine right. What I need arrives before I ask, for the infinite already knows. In 30 days, the barren account becomes a flourishing garden. The empty purse is filled with gold. In 30 days, the 100 is transformed into 135,308. For nothing is too marvelous for the power that created the stars. I cast down fear, for fear is faith in evil. I replace it with faith in God, faith in good, faith in the unseen riches already mine. I do not chase money, money comes to me, drawn by the vibration of truth. I am a magnet for prosperity. For I am aligned with the law of supply. The Spirit whispers, look not at appearances. Look not at numbers. Look only at me, and when the gaze is fixed on God, the outer world rearranges itself in obedience to the word. Therefore I affirm I move from debt into divine surplus. I move from minus into multiplication. I move from lack into limitless abundance. I move from 100 to 135, 308, easily, joyfully, and miraculously. Every bill is paid in full. Every debt is dissolved. Every need is met. The overflowing account is not a dream. It is the divine reality manifesting. The wealth that is mine by divine inheritance now appears. My barns are filled, my cup runs over, and there is always more in circulation. The same power that turns night into day turns poverty into plenty, and it works for me now. I live in expectancy of miracles. I walk in the certainty of supply, and I declare with gratitude, I am rich in God, I am rich in mind, I am rich in all good things. What once was 100 has become 135, 308, for my word has gone forth and shall not return void. It accomplishes that which it is sent to do. The wealth of the universe rushes to me, and I receive it with joy. This is the law. This is the truth. This is the manifestation. There is no lack in divine mind, only endless supply, waiting for the channel of faith to open wide enough to receive it. When the world presents you with a figure such as 100, it is not the truth of your being but a fleeting shadow. The truth is, you stand in the midst of unlimited abundance, the riches of the infinite surrounding you, waiting to rush into form. The minus sign is not a punishment, nor a sentence, but the very ground upon which the miracle will bloom. Just as the darkest soil hides the seed before the sprout appears, so too the appearance of lack conceals the overflowing harvest already on its way to you. The human mind sees numbers, balances, and figures. It trembles when the figures fall into red. But the divine mind sees wholeness, supply, and perfection. It does not recognize debt, limitation, or insufficiency. In God's economy there is no minus, only eternal circulation, ever increasing, ever expanding, always multiplying. When you align your thought with divine mind, you lift yourself above the fear of appearances and enter into the current of miraculous supply. It is a law that what you focus upon expands. If you stare at the empty account, you give it power. If you stare at the overflow of God's treasury, you magnetize it into your experience. To focus on lack is to worship a false god. To focus on abundance is to honor the truth of your birthright. Every time your eyes fall upon a negative balance, you may say with authority, "This is not the truth of me. I am one with infinite supply. I see only abundance, and abundance flows to me now." The account is but a reflection, and reflections change when the light shifts. Turn the light of your mind toward prosperity, and the shadow of debt will dissolve. What appears as 100 is not the end but the beginning. The minus is an opening for multiplication. The void is the place where fullness rushes in. Nature shows us this again and again. The barren tree blossoms in spring. The empty field becomes a golden harvest. The silent night turns into radiant day. Lack is always temporary, but abundance is eternal. When you understand this law, you no longer bow to fear. You lift your head in expectation, knowing that every dollar lost returns multiplied, and every seeming setback is a setup for divine increase. Speak not of poverty, for your words create your world. The tongue is the rudder of your life. If you say, I am broke, I am without, you anchor yourself in the shadows. But if you say, I am rich in God, I am prosperous, I am the heir to infinite wealth, you call forth the riches that already exist in the unseen. Words spoken in faith are seeds planted in the soil of spirit. They cannot fail to sprout, for spirit always brings forth after its kind. Plant words of wealth, and wealth will appear. Every debt, every minus, every figure in red is dissolved by the higher law of supply. To divine mind, there is no debt. It is already paid. To divine mind, there is no minus. It is already overflow. What you must do is align yourself with this higher vision and refuse to dwell on appearances. As a child trusts the parent to provide, so you may trust the infinite to send forth your supply at the right time, in the right way, in overflowing measure. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hold fast to the substance, and the evidence will surely appear. The transformation from 100 to 135 through 8 is not impossible, for with God nothing is impossible. It is not even improbable, for the infinite delights in demonstration. To the mind of man, such a leap appears miraculous, but to divine mind, it is as natural as the rising of the sun. When you release your belief in struggle and open to the effortless flow of good, money comes not by sweat or strain, but by right of vibration. You no longer push against the tide, but allow the current of abundance to carry you. Every day you awaken, affirm the truth. I live in the midst of plenty. I breathe in abundance. I walk in riches. I am surrounded by divine supply, and I give thanks as it appears in perfect form. Gratitude quickens the law. Thanksgiving multiplies your blessings. Even when you hold but $1, give thanks as if you held 1,000,000, and you will see the million appear. The feeling of gratitude is the magnet, and the universe cannot resist it. The grateful heart draws forth treasures from every direction. If today you stand at minus, remember this is only the shadow. The truth is fullness, the truth is supply, the truth is increase. Refuse to give energy to appearances. Refuse to bow to fear. Refuse to see yourself as lacking anything. Instead, see yourself clothed in wealth, surrounded by gold, supported by endless streams of provision. See yourself as the heir of a vast treasury, for so you are. The kingdom of heaven is within, and all the riches of heaven are yours to claim. The account balance is not your supply, God is your supply. The paycheck is not your source, God is your source. The minus sign is not your destiny. Overflow is your destiny. Align with this truth and watch how quickly the shadows scatter. From 100, the account will move to 135 308, not by chance but by law. The law of faith, the law of supply, the law of divine manifestation cannot fail. I declare the word of truth, for the spoken word is the sword that cuts through every shadow of lack. To speak lack is to bind oneself, but to speak abundance is to release the flow of riches that already exist in the unseen. I say with full conviction, God is my immediate and endless supply. There is no delay, there is no distance, there is no barrier, for what belongs to me comes to me swiftly, easily, and joyfully. Money is not something I chase. It is something I magnetize by the very vibration of my being. Every dollar I require, every blessing I need, every increase I desire is already circling me, drawn by the law of divine attraction. The unseen is more powerful than the seen, for all things begin in the invisible before they take form. When I speak, I plant seeds in the soil of spirit. When I affirm, I set in motion forces unseen by the human eye but irresistible in their action. My words are clothed in power, and they move forth to accomplish that which they are sent to do. I declare abundance, and abundance must appear. I declare wealth, and wealth must manifest. I declare multiplication, and multiplication unfolds before me. Every utterance of truth carries creative power. The word I am is the name of God within me. When I say, I am prosperous, I unite myself with the eternal prosperity of the infinite. When I say, I am wealthy, I align myself with wealth that knows no limits. When I say, I am rich in God, I bind myself to the endless treasury of spirit. The account balance may once have shown 100, but my word reshapes reality. The minus dissolves, the overflow appears, and the figures align themselves with my spoken decree. I do not beg for money, for begging is fear disguised as prayer. I command wealth with calm authority, for command is the language of faith. The law of supply does not answer to desperation, but it does answer to certainty. Just as the earth yields harvest when the farmer plants with confidence, so does the universe yield riches when I speak my word with unwavering faith. I do not say, I hope. I say, I know. I do not say, if it comes. I say, it is here. And by this knowing, the invisible rushes to clothe itself in form. Every dollar I need is already on its way, moving toward me by divine appointment. I need not struggle, strain, or scheme. I need only to align, affirm, and allow. God knows no delay, and so there is no waiting in spirit. In truth, the money I seek already exists. It is simply waiting for the channel of my faith to open wide enough to receive it. When I say, it is mine by divine right, I open the gates, and what is mine pours through unhindered. I am a magnet for prosperity. Prosperity is not outside of me, it is within me, and it radiates outward to draw every form of good. Like the sun, my faith shines and wealth grows toward it. Like a strong current, my vibration carries money into my hands from every direction. I do not chase, chasing is fear. I attract, attracting is truth. Money follows me as rivers flow to the sea. I no longer ask, how will it come? For that is not my concern, I simply affirm, it comes now, and trust the infinite to arrange the means. Every word spoken in faith sets a decree in motion. The decree cannot fail, for spirit cannot be void. Just as light scatters darkness without effort, so does my word of wealth scatter every shadow of lack. The account transforms, the numbers increase, and the abundance appears, for the word spoken in truth is law. I live in the consciousness that my words are alive, and they go forth to shape the very fabric of my reality. I hold fast to the principle that supply is immediate. Delay is a construct of the mind. In God's world there is only now. When I say I am supplied in this very moment. When I say, I am rich now, not later. The wealth of Wars 135-308 does not wait in some distant future. It exists in the eternal now, and I align with it through my declaration. The more I speak it, the more I feel it, the more I feel it, the more I live it, and the more I live it, the faster it clothes itself in matter. I speak not idle words, for idle words bear no fruit. I speak charged words electrified with faith, burning with certainty, pulsing with expectancy. Each syllable carries the vibration of abundance, and the vibration cannot help but summon its likeness. Like calls to like, abundance calls to abundance. Prosperity calls to prosperity, riches call to riches, and so my word calls forth the wealth that belongs to me by divine inheritance. I walk in the authority of spirit, knowing that my declarations are not mine alone, but God's word spoken through me. When I affirm supply, it is not merely my voice, but the voice of the infinite echoing through me, saying, let there be abundance, and abundance appears. The law of the word cannot be broken. It moves through every channel, it orchestrates every detail, it arranges every event, until the demonstration is complete. So I continue to speak the word with power, joy and certainty. I say I am rich in God, I am prosperous now. I am a magnet for money, I am aligned with the law of supply. I am filled, overflowing, and multiplied. Every word I speak is a decree, and every decree becomes flesh. The account shows increase, the overflow is visible, and the world bends to match the vibration of my faith. In 30 days, the invisible becomes visible, and what once seemed impossible is revealed as natural law. The movement from 100 to 135-308 is not a miracle of chance, but the inevitable result of aligning thought, word, and vibration with divine supply. 30 days are not a barrier, but a rhythm. The universe does not toil or strain, it flows in perfect sequence, and so the unfolding of abundance happens with ease, in right time, and in right order. Each day holds its own measure of demonstration. Day by day, the unseen treasures draw closer, and the channels of supply open wider. I do not wait anxiously, for waiting belongs to fear. I live each day as if the manifestation has already appeared, and in that certainty, the wealth gathers itself into form. The spirit of plenty goes before me, arranging appointments, moving people, opening doors, and guiding opportunities into my path. I am never left to struggle, for the infinite has already prepared the way. The leap from debt into abundance does not require labor, it requires alignment. It does not come through panic or pressure, but through the calm knowing that God's supply is sure. What man calls a miracle is nothing more than the higher law at work, and the higher law is never delayed. When I affirm, my supply comes swiftly and perfectly. I set this law into action. The numbers rearrange themselves, channels of money appear, and opportunities for increase present themselves in ways beyond my imagination. Each day of the 30 is a step upward, a movement from shadow into light. On the first day, the minus begins to dissolve. On the second, unexpected provision arrives. On the third, a door swings open. On the fourth, debts lose their hold. On the fifth, new channels reveal themselves. The process continues, as each day multiplies the flow of good. By the 30th day, the demonstration is complete, and the once negative account now overflows with the very figure that faith called forth. I remind myself that time is but an instrument, not a limitation. The infinite is beyond time, and manifestation does not depend upon the calendar, but upon consciousness. 30 days is not the measure of the supply, but of my alignment. Each day that I hold fast to truth, each day that I speak my word, each day that I live in gratitude, I am shaping reality. The account may have once shown 100, but in the realm of spirit, it always showed fullness. The 30 days are the unfolding of that fullness into the physical. I do not count the hours, nor do I look with anxious eyes at the account, for that is doubt disguised as diligence. Instead, I count my blessings, and I look with faith into the unseen. Faith does not demand proof, faith knows proof is inevitable. My certainty calls forth the riches, and the riches rush to answer. The more I affirm, the more I feel the vibration of wealth within me. The more I feel it, the more it must appear without. In 30 days, I walk the path of expectancy. Expectancy is the atmosphere of miracles. When I wake each morning, I say, something wonderful is unfolding for me today. Money flows in unexpected ways, opportunities arise, and my wealth grows by divine decree. And I go about the day with a light heart, not straining, but trusting, not grasping, but receiving. In that expectancy, the channels of supply multiply. Some come through gifts, some through opportunities, some through sudden increase, but all come from the one source, God who is unlimited. The 100 was never a sentence, it was a signal. It signaled the moment for faith to speak louder, for truth to shine brighter, for abundance to declare itself more powerfully. What seems like lack is only the moment before the flood. Just as the tide recedes before it returns greater, so too the negative balance was the prelude to overflow. And now the tide rises, the floodgates open, and 135,308 rushes into view. I do not question the figure, for numbers are simply symbols of energy. The energy of abundance has no limit, and so the number first 135,308 is no more difficult for spirit to produce than $1. The human mind calls it large, but to the infinite, all is equal. Just as it is effortless for a tree to grow 1 leaf or 10,000, so is it effortless for the law of supply to produce $1 or 1,000,000. The number I declare is the number that appears, for spirit knows no obstacle. Every night as I close my eyes, I rest in the certainty that the day has carried me closer to the demonstration. I affirm with gratitude, my wealth is unfolding perfectly. I am in alignment with the divine order of supply. Tomorrow brings even greater evidence of abundance. And as I sleep, the unseen forces continue their work. The spirit of plenty never slumbers. It moves tirelessly, weaving together people, events, and opportunities, so that when I awaken, new doors are open before me. The beauty of the 30-day journey is not only the final figure but the transformation within me. Each day strengthens faith, deepens certainty, and awakens a greater awareness of the truth that I am one with infinite supply. The money is a symbol, but the real wealth is the consciousness of abundance. When I carry that consciousness, money must follow, for outer wealth is but the reflection of inner knowing. I continue forward, knowing that 30 days are but a span, and in that span, heaven's treasury opens wide. What was once a minus is now an overflowing surplus. What was once doubt is now certainty. What was once lack is now limitless provision. The days pass, and with each one, the invisible steps closer into the visible, until all that I have declared stands before me, radiant and undeniable. Fear is faith turned upside down, faith in lack, faith in failure, faith in the shadows of appearances. Fear is a lie, and lies dissolve in the presence of truth. I refuse fear, for I cannot serve two masters. Either I serve fear and live in its poverty, or I serve faith and live in its abundance. I choose faith, for faith is the golden key that opens the treasury of heaven. Fear whispers, "What if you fail? What if it does not come?" But faith answers with power. "It is already mine, it cannot be withheld, it is unfolding now." The vibration of fear repels supply, but the vibration of faith calls it forth with irresistible force. I cast down every thought of worry, for worry is wasted imagination. Worry imagines lack, but faith imagines fullness. Worry rehearses disaster, but faith rehearses miracles. I hold my mind steady on the image of plenty, and as I do, the plenty appears. The imagination is the workshop of creation. Whatever I picture with feeling, I am building. Therefore, I picture my account overflowing, my debts dissolved, my barns filled, my hands rich with supply. I see money moving toward me in streams and rivers. I see gifts, opportunities, and surprises rushing in. I feel the joy of abundance, and the law of life brings my vision into form. Faith is not timid, nor is it uncertain. Faith is bold, strong, and commanding. When I speak my word in faith, I do not tremble, I decree. I stand in authority, for I know my authority comes from God within me. The same power that hung the stars listens when I affirm, "I am wealthy now." The same power that moves the tide responds when I say, "My supply is here." I do not beg for crumbs, for I am not a beggar but an heir. I claim my inheritance with dignity, and the universe honors my claim. Every fear is a shadow, and shadows cannot withstand the light. I shine the light of truth into every corner of my mind. When fear says, "You have only to 100, truth says, "I have 135, 308 and more, for my supply is endless." When fear says, "You are running out of time," truth says, "I live in eternity, and all unfolds in perfect order." When fear says, "It is too much to ask," truth says, "Nothing is too great for the infinite, and nothing is withheld from the child of God." I silence doubt with affirmation. I answer every anxious thought with a word of power. If the mind says, "What if it doesn't work?" I declare, "It always works, for divine law never fails." If the heart trembles, I place my hand upon it and affirm, "Be still and know that I am supplied." The inner calm I hold becomes the outer calm that brings order to my affairs. Peace is the soil in which miracles grow, and I cultivate peace by holding fast to truth. My vibration is the key. I keep my vibration lifted in joy, gratitude, and expectancy. When I laugh, I open channels. When I give thanks, I multiply blessings. When I expect good, I draw it to me without effort. Fear lowers the vibration and closes the doors, but faith raises it and swings the gates wide open. The universe responds to vibration, not complaint. It answers faith, not fear. For I live each moment in the vibration of wealth. I feel myself already in possession of riches, and by law, the riches must appear. Money is not drawn to anxiety but to certainty. It does not flow into hands that grasp in fear, but into hands that open in trust. I release the clenched fist of worry and stretch forth the open hand of faith. Into that open hand supply pours abundantly. I say, "I am ready, I am receptive, I am willing to receive all that belongs to me." And the flow increases, unstoppable, unending, overflowing. I know that fear is only the last effort of the old thought pattern, struggling to hold on. It has no power unless I feed it. I withdraw my energy from fear and invest it in faith. Just as a fire dies when it is no longer fed, so does fear fade when I no longer believe in it. Each day, my faith grows stronger, and each day, fear grows weaker, until one day it vanishes entirely, and only faith remains. And where faith remains, wealth remains also. I welcome divine surprises. I welcome unexpected channels. I welcome provision from sources beyond my imagination. Fear closes the mind and limits the ways supply can arrive, but faith keeps the mind open, ready to receive from any and every direction. I do not dictate how the 135,308 will appear. I simply affirm that it does. The infinite knows the path of least resistance, the channels ready to open, the doors prepared to swing wide. Faith allows those doors to open in ways I could never have planned. Every day I affirm I am fearless in God, for God is my supply. I cannot be limited, delayed, or denied. The riches that are mine by divine right cannot be lost, stolen, or withheld. They come to me in avalanches of abundance, easily and effortlessly. I walk in peace, I live in faith, and I receive in joy. Fear is a shadow of the past, but faith is the light of the present, and the light reveals the overflowing wealth already here. And so I live in the knowing that fear is nothing and faith is everything. I choose faith, I speak faith, I feel faith, and I embody faith. And as surely as the sun rises, the evidence of my faith appears as wealth in my hands, abundance in my life, and riches beyond measure. My account is full, my cup runs over, and there is always more in circulation, for I live in a universe that cannot run dry. I dwell in the midst of infinite riches, and I draw upon them with ease. The supply is eternal, inexhaustible, and unending. What once appeared as 100 has been transformed into overflowing abundance, and the number 135,308 is but a symbol of the divine generosity that has no limit. My barns are filled with plenty, my storehouses are overflowing, and my life is rich in every direction. Every bill is paid in full, for the law of God does not recognize debt. Every debt is dissolved, wiped away as a dream upon waking, for only abundance is real. I do not live in the shadow of owing, I live in the light of owning. I own my prosperity, I own my inheritance, I own the wealth that is mine by divine right. Nothing can be withheld, nothing can be delayed, nothing can be stolen. What belongs to me returns, multiplied and magnified, clothed in greater substance than before. The wealth that is mine by divine inheritance appears now, and I receive it with open hands and grateful heart. It flows in streams and rivers, never ceasing, always replenishing. As one channel overflows, another opens, for supply is not bound to one source. Money comes from expected avenues, yes, but also from the unexpected, the surprising, the miraculous. I never wonder from where, for I know the source is one. God is the giver, and the giver is limitless. The channels are many, but the source is one, and that source is unfailing. I see myself walking in a garden of plenty, every tree laden with fruit, every path lined with gold. Wherever I turn, there is more than enough. This is not imagination only, this is reality, for what I hold within must appear without. My inner garden of abundance brings forth harvest in my outer life. As I know myself to be rich, so do I live in riches. As I feel myself surrounded by plenty, so does plenty surround me. From 100 to 135,308, the transformation is complete, not by chance but by law. The law of supply cannot fail, for it is divine. The spoken word has gone forth, the vibration has been set, and the results are inevitable. My account now bears witness to the truth I have spoken, and my life shines as testimony that faith manifests form. The number is real, the money is tangible, and yet it is still only a reflection of the greater truth, that I live in a state of limitless abundance, unbound by figures, untouched by fear. Every need is met in abundance. When I require, it appears. When I desire, it manifests. When I give thanks, it multiplies. My life is not a struggle for scraps but a dance with overflow. I give freely, I spend joyfully, I save wisely, I invest confidently, knowing that whatever goes forth returns multiplied. Circulation is the law of increase. As money flows through me, more rushes in to take its place. There is no loss in God's economy, only circulation, only multiplication, only greater increase. I rest in the assurance that what is mine cannot be lost. If money seems to leave, it returns greater. If opportunities pass, better ones appear. If one door closes, another opens, wider and richer. The infinite never subtracts without multiplying, never removes without replacing with more. I do not mourn what goes, I rejoice in what comes. My faith is unshakable, and my prosperity is unstoppable. I feel the weight of money in my hands, the sight of overflowing accounts before my eyes, the joy of limitless provision in my heart. This is not fantasy but reality, and it continues to expand. The more I receive, the more I can give. The more I give, the more I increase. I live in a rhythm of divine abundance, a dance of giving and receiving, sowing and reaping, planting and harvesting. And the harvest never ends, for the law of supply is eternal. I declare my wealth is not temporary. It is not fragile. It is not subject to chance. It is eternal, strong and sure, for it is founded upon the rock of divine truth. My wealth flows because I am aligned with the endless source. The account grows, the streams widen, the rivers deepen, and there is always more. I no longer count money with fear, I bless it with joy. I no longer cling to it in anxiety, I release it in trust. And as I release, it returns multiplied, overflowing, and abundant. The transformation is not only in my account but in my consciousness. I no longer see myself as limited, struggling, or lacking. I see myself as heir owner, ruler of my own vibration, commander of my supply. I live in the wealth of spirit, and spirit translates it into wealth in form. My barns are not only full, they are bursting. My cup does not only hold enough, it overflows, and the overflow blesses not only me but all who cross my path. For as I prosper, I become a channel for others to prosper. As I receive, I give, and as I give, I grow. The number 435,308 is a marker, a milestone, a proof of faith, but it is not the end. It is the beginning of greater and greater increase. For divine supply knows no ceiling, no limit, no end. Today it is this number, tomorrow it is more, and always it is multiplying. I live in the awareness that abundance is infinite, and because I live in that awareness, infinity expresses through me in tangible, measurable, overflowing ways. What once was 100 is no longer even a memory that binds me. It has been erased, dissolved, and replaced with the living proof of abundance. The wealth I hold now is the evidence of faith, the reward of trust, the demonstration of divine law. And yet, the truest wealth is the consciousness I carry, the knowing that I will never again bow to lack, never again serve fear, never again believe in limitation. I walk forever in the light of abundance, the reality of supply, the truth of prosperity. Then let us close in the certainty of truth. The story of 100 transforming into 435,308 is more than numbers. It is the visible proof of an invisible law. It is the song of spirit singing through form, the melody of faith made manifest. I have walked the path from lack to plenty, from fear to faith, from doubt to demonstration, and I know now that there is no power in loss, no reality in limitation. What is mine by divine right appears now in perfect ways, under grace, and it will never stop appearing. My supply cannot be exhausted, for I am rooted in the infinite, and the infinite knows no end. What was once dead is dissolved, what was once empty is overflowing, what was once impossible is now my testimony. The law of prosperity has answered, and it shall continue to answer. I stand as proof that faith moves mountains, that words spoken in truth shape reality, that one declaration can turn the tide of life. I am a living witness to divine abundance, and my life is a shining example that God is never late, never withholding, never lacking. The account of heaven is always in surplus, and I withdraw with confidence, knowing there is always more. So I bless this wealth, I bless this flow, I bless this endless circulation of good. I bless every dollar as it comes, and I bless it as it goes, for it always returns increased and multiplied. I am rich in love, I am rich in joy, I am rich in money, I am rich in spirit. The law of supply is eternal, and I am forever aligned with it. What once seemed small has expanded into greatness, and what is now great shall grow even greater. My life is a story of increase without end. And so I declare, the abundance of God is mine now and forever. What belongs to me cannot be lost. What is mine by divine right appears now, and it multiplies without end. I am prosperous, I am abundant, I am free.